Hi there. I published a couple of days ago, like sort of a banner, not a banner, like a bill that said, "Tell me your symptom, and I will tell you a story about you." And immediately I received messages from two women that told me that their symptom was that they didn't have a partner. So my answer was like very coded, let's say, hidden infertility or hidden sterility. To be honest with you, I know that something like that, a code like that, dropped in a chat in Instagram, it's not giving a lot of information. Like I know they didn't understand what I said. They couldn't, perhaps. They didn't have the tools to understand what I was saying. But if you don't have a couple, that's because the unconscious, that is the same as saying your soul, is protecting the family clan from something anti-biological. That thing in general is death. Not always, but it can be a certain death or a probable death. I'll explain afterwards, but let's take death as death, the biological, someone who dies. And if you don't have a couple, it's because the family unconscious is identifying that situation as dangerous. Dangerous for who? Dangerous for the members of the clan. The ones that are born already and living, and the ones that are unborn. The ones that could be born, that could bear, but didn't yet. So, what's the story about this? Well, it has to do with conception. The conception of a child. The fetus in the uterus. That's the thing. There's something anti-biological that has got associated with death. I'm gonna put a title here. I'm gonna insert a title. Why I don't have a couple. I can put it that way. Let's put it this way. Fixed there. Okay, so the family unconscious and the individual unconscious is like seeing the situation before the situation occurs. That is to say, well, if you have a couple, you could have a baby. You could go into reproduction. And that reproduction, like reproducing yourself, there is something in the family unconscious that links reproduction with death. And that can be a lot of stories. Like, those can be stories of abortion. Those could be stories of losing pregnancy, I don't know, during the 2nd month or the 5th month of pregnancy of a woman. That woman can be an ancestor, can be an aunt, can be a grandmother, can be, I don't know, your mom. Also, you might be related to someone that's not a woman, like a man. But let's say if the information that you've got in your family clan is that your aunt got pregnant and died being pregnant, then the conception got associated with death. The conception got associated with the death of two members. Let's put an example. My aunt got pregnant, then she had a car crash, she died, and the child that was inside her womb died also. So there I have one conception, that would be +1, and two deaths, that would be -2. So this is not good business for the family unconscious, because the family unconscious reasons things in biological terms. So, if that happened and it was my aunt's first pregnancy, the solution to me that I'm a descendant of my aunt is don't get pregnant. So, as me, you're unconscious, your family unconscious, I have this data, so I have to avoid any situation in which you could get pregnant. So, I have to avoid several things. Within, we can find having a couple. Why? Because if you have a couple, you can get pregnant. And this information I am carrying is that somebody in the family clan got pregnant and died. And the child also died. So that's a -2. 1 conception, 2 deaths. So I've got to avoid that situation. Understood? But the story of the unborn, that is what's always behind infertility or sterility, the story of the unborns, it's a very wide story. It's not always biological death. It could be something like my grandmother got pregnant and my grandfather traveled far away and he was never seen again within the family clan. So there you've got a +1 because you're adding a member to the clan. That's the child that's in the womb. But it's a -1 because somebody traveled far away and was never seen again. For the family unconscious and the collective unconscious and the individual unconscious, the scattering of the clan and the death, the biological death, is the same thing, the exact same thing. So there you've got a +1 and a -1. But there's something else. The member of the clan that's going away, that's traveling far away and disappearing, let's say, has perhaps, let's say he's 36, I don't know, has a biological value that is above the biological value of the baby that is in his mom's womb. Why? Well, because this member of the family is reproductive and the baby in the womb is not. So he's a very valuable member of the family because he has all his life ahead. But in reproductive terms, in biological terms, he's not as valuable as his father, because his father is reproductive and the baby is not. That's why, like, the family unconscious won't accept this trait. This, I get the baby, but the elder one goes away. This is not good business. Now, let's say someone else goes away, like the baby's grandfather, and he's, I don't know, 80 years old, and he goes away, or he dies, it's the same. Well, there you will have probably a profit for the family clan, because the baby, biologically speaking, has a value that's above the value of his grandfather. Or let's say his grandfather's value is beneath the value of the child. And what is that? Well, because his grandfather is very old, and as he's very old, he's not reproductive anymore, so he cannot provide the clan with new members. So let's say the baby has a price of 100, his grandfather has a price of 60 or 70, and his father, the one in the middle, let's say the baby's father, he has a value of 120. So I know it sounds cold, I know it sounds perhaps weird for the culture we're fitting, like the Occidental culture, like I live in Argentina. Our culture is mainly the Christian culture. Or perhaps in moral terms it doesn't sound very nice what I'm saying, but the unconscious thinks in biological terms, so doesn't care about moral stuff. It operates biologically. So if the baby is born and his father goes away, then we have a biological loss. So that can program in the descendants an infertility. Now, you have to see what the number of the unborn is, because you can be inserted or fit in a program of hidden infertility or physical infertility after you had your first child. Let's say you're a woman, you have a daughter that's 4 years old. Well, and then after that, after you get pregnant, you lose your couple, your husband goes away, I don't know, and after that you can't have a partner anymore. And you say, why can't I have a partner anymore? What's happened? Am I doing something wrong? Have I become unattractive? No. This has nothing to do with being cute or unattractive. It has nothing to do. I know a lot of people that are very unattractive and have a couple, and I know a lot of people that are very cute and don't have a couple. So this is just unconscious programming, how you're programmed, how your unconscious works. We're not that different from computers after all. I know it sounds cold, I know it sounds awful, but it's the truth, and I prefer to tell you the truth, an uncomfortable truth, than a comfortable lie. So, what's the thing here? Why I can't have a couple? Because the story that is coming from your ancestors is that there was a drama with a second birth. That's to say, for instance, that your great-grandmother had his second child and she died during the birth of that second child. So, or the baby died in his own birth and he was the second. There was a brother already or a sister. Okay? So, there you've got another program that is also an infertility program, a hidden infertility or physical, doesn't matter, but it's called second son infertility program. The same could be with a third. Perhaps you have two children. You've got a son and a daughter. One is 4, the other one is 6. And after your son that is 4 years old, you lose your couple, and you don't know another man or another woman to become a partner from. So what's going on? Well, what's going on there is that there's a drama with a third birth with your grandmother, let's say. So if your grandmother had his third birth, during his third birth, something happened. Let's put another example. She gives birth. It's the third son. He's alive. I mean, he survives the birth. But when he's 2 years old, he's run over by a truck and dies. There, the conception and the death are very are very near one from each other, temporarily speaking, in terms of time. So the death gets associated with this, the conception. So the answer to this, to repair this story, the answer is don't have a third child. Don't have a third child. So when you have your second child, you lose your partner. Why? Because the unconscious has to avoid by any means necessary that you get pregnant or you get a woman pregnant, because the third one dies. This is hidden infertility. This is hidden sterility. It can be hidden. Hidden is when you don't have a couple or you don't have other means that you need in order to have a child. Like you don't have money. To have a child, you need money. A child has a cost, an economical cost. So if you don't have money, one of the reasons can be because there was a drama with the birth. The other one is not having your own home, not having your own place, like locating someplace. How do you say that? Like living in some place that is not yours, renting. Like you rent someplace. The place where you live is a place that you rent. It's not a place that belongs to you. This has to do with the idea of the nest, because in the past we were birds. This has to do with the idea of the nest. If there is no nest, there can be no eggs. There can be no eggs. So the unconscious has to block one of these three variables. Like, if your unconscious decides that for some ancestral reason you cannot have your second son, when you have your first son, it's going to make one of the three things happen. No money, no home of your own, or no partner. Perhaps the three of them, perhaps two, perhaps one. With one, the unconscious already achieves its goal. That is, avoiding you from multiplying like your species, like having a child, basically. So there are other things that can give us information about why about the stories of children that died. Let me check this word. How do you say? Yeah, dramas with births. You've gotta be wide here. You've gotta need some information. The total of the information is in your family clan, is in your ancestors. So, to the question of why I don't have a couple, the answer is because your family clan, your family unconscious is protecting the members of the clan from some drama that happened before. That means a child that was born and dead, or a pregnancy that was lost, or an abortion, or a child that he was born and he lived, but for instance his father went away and never came back, or some other member of the clan died. Like, I don't know, the child is born, but his uncle that is 20 years old dies. Well, that's not good business for the clan, because it thinks in terms of species. So it's going to avoid that from happening, because his uncle that's 20 years old has a more elevated biological value. So it's not good business that having a baby in the clan, and in exchange of that his uncle dies. It's not good business for biology and for the clan. So I'm giving just some examples, but this is hidden infertility, this is hidden sterility, or physical, like physical sterility, like I can't get pregnant. Well, if you can't get pregnant and I do have a couple, and you do have a couple, well, then what you gotta check are the same stories, the exact same stories, because the solution in the end is the same. Like, if I keep you from having a couple, or if I give you the chance of having a couple but I make you unreproductive, like having some issue with your uterus, with your womb, with your ovaries, the result is the same: no children, no children, and that's what we're looking for here. Not we, I mean your family unconscious, the clan is looking for this. So, if you don't have a couple, if you don't have money, if you don't have a nest, like a home of your own, the first thing you've got to check out or to take a look at is the hidden infertility or sterility. I don't want to be abusive of your time, so this is gonna be it for today. I'll make another video afterwards. We're gonna talk about territorial conflict. Best wishes. Bye bye.